ring if you're ready to care. Oh, let's talk power, let's talk speed. Hosted by the one and only WeTooDeep. Turn it up loud, feel the power in your seed. This is slapping me, yeah, slapping me.
And what is good, everybody? I'm the one and the only WeTooDeep. With me always on Tuesdays is DJ Wavy D, the king of predictions. He's going to be in his bag tonight because that's what we're going to be doing, predicting Backlash. I just feel like it was WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And here we are again with some predictions. But before we get there, we're going to break down Monday Night Raw from yesterday. As always, we're gonna answer these questions, and we got a lot of them from the Discord, and we're bringing back, after what feels like a month, the bracket battles. Now that Mania season's over, we can focus back on that. But before all of that, we gotta get cooking. So let's get cooking here. I did a whole episode on Saturday night about the releases. Were about 30 minutes of just me giving the world how I feel about it. So first off, did you listen to that episode, and what did you think of that?
I listened to the episode. I listened to it on my way back from the casino. You know, saying your boy was out to do his thing. That was a really good listen. Yeah, it was flowing really well. You speaking the good words of the wrestling gods, and I agreed with 99.99% of what you said.
Can't ask for anything better with that. So what we're gonna do with Let's Get Cooking, I'm gonna pick a few of the names, not all of them, and we're gonna go through them and pick where we predict they will end up. So with that, we'll start with Katana Chance, or Casey Catanzaro, and Kayden Carter, or as they're known on the IWC, KC2 or KC squared. Where do you think? Do you think they wrestle again, or where do they end up?
Yeah. So as far as the two of them, Kayden Carter, that's the Damian Priest's girl, right?
Yeah.
I think she has more of potential to eventually join WWE again.
Okay.
I mean, for one reason, Damian Priest is held in high regard in WWE. Almost kind of like she might get like that Michelle McCool effect with Undertaker to a lesser degree. So I think her relationship with Priest will bring her back in the future. But I also think she's the better wrestler of the two.
Yeah.
Whereas Katana Chance, you know, she's athletic, she's an athlete, but as far as a wrestler, as far as the two of them, I think she was the more vanilla of the two.
Yeah.
If they want just like, if they want to kind of live up their WWE name and kind of just like make some money, pay the bills, I would say kind of go to TNA.
Right.
You know, join their women's knockout tag team division. They can always use a bolster because last time I checked the roster, there wasn't that much competition on the tag team roster over there. So maybe they can get a nice run as a tag team champs over there, put on some good matches. Because one thing they're lacking a few things. WWE, the main thing was personality and sticking out, but the other thing was great matches. Just because they didn't have the most opportunity. They had a little bit of opportunity as far as they're being featured on TV every week for a good period.
Yeah. But
they didn't have any like memorable matches. So I think if they go to TNA, they can have a chance to have some memorable matches for their viewers. I mean, I don't watch TNA week to week like some of our fans do. But I can see them having success over there. But if they want to rebrand themselves and they want to reach new levels in the women's wrestling world, I think they have to split up and go their own ways.
Yeah. If they're gonna stay a tag team, I agree with you. It's really the only place that has like a women's tag division. I also agree with you. Kayden Carter is the better of the, I guess, pro wrestler. I mean, Katana Chance was only signed because of how popular at the time American Ninja Warrior was, and she was like the first woman to ever beat the first round or whatever,
Yeah.
and so that's why they brought her in. Similar to, I think it was Ivy Nile was on the Rocks, like what was it, like Power? I don't know what competition it was, but
Powerlifting thing.
it was some sort of like athletic like show that The Rock hosted.
Oh,
Power Games or something
yeah,
like that.
there was the one that was on TV for a short period of time. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think Ivy Nile won that first season, which is what got her hired. But um, I think TNA would be the best for them. I know there's people like, James who thinks that AEW is going to start their own women's tag division. I mean, it's not really, I don't really see that happening. They don't really have any teams either. This is just sort of the unfortunate reality of, I guess I mean, even like last night when we talked on the Raquel didn't have the titles. Like even though Liv is gone, she didn't hold her title at least. So I 100% believe they scrapped this tag division.
Also,
in WWE.
women's tag team wrestling just isn't the most popular option out
Right,
there.
right. Moving from women's tag teams to men's tag teams, the Gallus boys from NXT got cut, and I think there's some potential there. Where do you think they end up?
Those guys got AEW written all over them.
100%.
I feel like they can make a big impact over in AEW. I feel like their aesthetic and their background and their fan base screams AEW. I feel like they can put some good matches on against like the likes of like FTR. You can put some good you can put good matches on. I don't know about programs, but you can put good matches on with the Young Bucks. You can do some good work with John Moxley and his crew.
Bobby Lashley,
Yeah,
Hurt Business.
So I definitely see them having success in AEW. They can definitely be trios champions, tag champions. They can. AEW's kind of made for them. I don't think they had like the marketability personality for the WWE main roster. Because if I'm not wrong, did they have a small stint on the main roster a couple years ago?
They were, if I believe correctly, they were sort of like teasing like a mutiny type storyline that didn't fully go through. And I know they were running like some dark matches. But they got to the point to where like they've been on Evolve. They're not even on NXT anymore. So
these guys are different than the ones who are part of Sanity, right? This is a different group.
It's a different group, yeah.
They're all different wrestlers.
Yeah. So Gallus is Mark and Joe Coffey and Wolfgang. They were mostly known for their time in NXT UK. And then they were brought over here. They had a bigger run like a year or two ago in NXT, and then just disappeared, and then showed up on Evolve. So I thought they were definitely main roster bound, but this didn't happen. They like you said, they didn't have the main appeal. I'm gonna say this, and I think some fans might get offended by it, but oh well. The UK style doesn't really appeal over here, and so you have to be big like Drew McIntyre or Sheamus to get over. And the Coffees just don't. I mean, Wolfgang's bigger, but
who's the main guy who didn't hold the title? The one that was in the middle.
Longer hair.
Yeah, he has longer hair. For the pictures, it seems like he's the leader almost.
So the leader was Joe Coffey, but he wrestled the most. Mark Coffey had he was part of something that got him suspended, and not wrestling fans don't like him. I don't know what the scandal was, but typically it was Joe Coffey and Wolfgang, which is the guy with like the really long hair, bigger guy.
Yeah, so I'm looking at their pictures. It looks like he's the guy who does most of the talking for the group.
He is the talker, yes.
That's Joe Coffey.
The really long hair is Wolfgang.
And he had a fancy mustache at one point.
Yeah, that was Joe. Yeah.
Yeah. So is he? He's more the single star out of the three of them, and the other two
Yeah.
are a tag team.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was like, he's the one who looks most familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Is the one who he had like a mustache and like kind of squeezed
Yep.
at the end. That's
Yep.
Joe. Yeah,
That's Joe.
he's the one who looks more familiar than the other guys.
Yeah.
He's
All
also the
right.
smallest.
We'll move on. Braun Strowman.
From what I heard for Braun Strowman, the main issue was just he was paid too much, too big of a contract. You know, the backstage loves him. He's the rest of the wrestlers love him. The fans love him. So I mean, if he wants to take like more of like a niche role or a family friendly contract, team friendly contract, I would bring Braun Strowman back. It's just that currently, unless you're going to use him sparingly and more as like a showcase kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
or I would try to make him someone's enforcer again. But the problem is that the enforcer role is going to seem too small because we've seen him battle for world titles in the past. That if he's not like in a program, it seems like he's being wasted.
Yeah.
But I think having Braun Strowman as an enforcer for somebody kind of works the best. I can see him doing a small stint in AEW. I mean, I don't think he really likes them over there, but I think having him do a small stint there and see if they can push a big guy might be something. But he might just go back to what's it called, Control Your Narrative Wrestling or whatever, or maybe he might go back to GCW, do some stuff. I think he's the kind of guy who's going to do a lot of independent gigs.
Right.
I think he likes the freedom of it. If I were him though, I would try maybe a stint in TNA. See if he can be compelling and possibly win like the TNA World Title or something like that.
So my prediction for him, 100%, is I think he actually retires from wrestling. And I have a reason for it. Out of everyone released, he seemed the least to care about being released. I mean, he gets released and he's on a jet ski filming the next day. And so, I mean, he's in his 40s. He's very injury prone. He has a big injury history. You could already tell he can barely walk as it is, just being how big he is. And you were like, from everything I've heard, it was the money issue was the reason why he got fired. He's made his money. I don't see if he does do anything. I think it would be like who pays me the most. I don't necessarily think he cares about the wrestling part of it. I think he was just there to collect the check. I think AEW would pay him the most to come in and run a program, but I don't know if they would be willing. I mean, we know their history with big guys, so TNA would be cool. They do need some bigger guys in TNA. You have Moose, and that's about it.
Yeah,
so
Moose and Top Dollar, they're not really like big
right.
men. They're just bigger guys.
If he does something, it'll be like one off. Like I think he could have run the indies like Cardona does.
Yeah.
But
making big special appearances.
Right.
Maybe go to a local indie show and be like the surprise guest, like a battle royal.
Right.
And Loki, I can see him doing some more stuff in Hollywood.
Yeah.
He has a good personality. I can see him also do a content creator because wasn't he doing the who was it? Oh, it was Matt. Oh no, Corbin, Baron Corbin. Who was doing the meat stuff.
Yeah,
but Braun Strowman has personalities where I can see him doing like almost like Sheamus, like a workout YouTube channel or something like that, where he just goes around with like bodybuilders and doing stuff, and he's fun. He has good personality. I think he definitely has a future outside and after wrestling, especially if he gets out kind of now before he can still walk and get around and stuff like that. I see Braun Strowman having a bright future outside of wrestling.
Yeah, I can see it. Next up from NXT.
Quick question. Down the line, do you think Braun Strowman's a Hall of Famer down the line?
I mean, these questions are hard because there's really no like objective criteria because you put Brie Bella in the Hall of Fame. So, I mean, he is a world champion. He's won the tag champions. Granted, it was with a 10-year-old kid, but even still, I mean, I don't see why not. I think he was part of some big moments with the Wyatts. He's helped get over Bronson Reed and Jacob Fatu. So I think they will reward him down the line. I don't know if it'll be like immediate future, but I don't see why not.
One-time Universal Champion, one-time Intercontinental, a two-time Raw Tag Team Champion with that kid and Seth Rollins, a Money in the Bank winner,
Andre the Giant,
the greatest Royal Rumble,
won the greatest Royal Rumble. Yep. I mean, if we're talking just based on accolades, I don't see why not.
He won Superstar of the Year one year, Male Superstar of the Year.
That's crazy.
Can you guess which year he won Male Superstar of the Year? It was a year-end award, not a Slammy, but it was a WWE year-end award.
Is that like 2019?
2018.
2018? Yeah, that's crazy. Going down here, from NXT, Jakara Jackson.
From what I saw, was it Top Dollar? I mean, I know Top Dollar put out a statement. He put out a list of like three of the names of people who got released by AEW, by WWE, and he said that there's a standing offer for any of them who want to join First Class. I know it was or Mensa received an offer. It was or Mensa. It was. Where is it? 1 second. You can talk on real fast. Let me try to find this article.
Yeah. So I think Jakara, I think will stay in wrestling, but I also think she's going to do outside stuff. I think she could go into like a modeling type thing or something like what Dana Brooke does. But she doesn't fit AEW. I just don't. She'll get lost in AEW's division.
Yeah.
I think TNA makes the most sense for me.
Yeah.
She's known to that audience because the Metaphor were running tag team stuff there as recently as the last pay-per-view. So she has like face recognition. So yeah, I think TNA works the best for her.
So the wrestlers who AJ gave a standing offer to join First Class was Dakota Kai, Shotzi, and or Mensa.
That's a weird group of people, but
I can see Qatar Jackson has kind of like the swag to hang out with like AJ Francis,
right?
First Class group, and TNA, like you were saying, I feel TNA would be a good place for her. Maybe try to hone her craft on the indies, but I mean, I don't know her character. I mean, I'm not as familiar with Jackson, her past or her background as you are, so I don't know about like her passion for wrestling. To run the indies, you gotta be like passionate about wrestling,
right?
To run the indies. So if she's not looking, for the grind, and she just kind of wants to be on TV, have a contract, kind of have a little star recognized, to be recognized. I think TNA is her best option, but if she really wants to like hone her craft and get better, I would say maybe work the indies.
Mm-hmm.
But for her personally, I think her best option is TNA.
Yeah, 100%. Next up is Cora Jade.
AEW.
Yeah. She was on AEW Dark for those who used to watch it before they canceled it, before she signed with WWE. This was going to be the part of the show where I made a joke about OnlyFans, but then she beat me to the punch because she's already on it. But I think
you said in your last show that she was gonna.
Yeah, I mean, it's the easiest thing in the world to predict. It doesn't take a rocket science degree to understand that was exactly what Cora Jade was going to do when she got released. I think she still wrestles, but she doesn't really have to. I think she'll be more popular than Mandy Rose on the OnlyFans side of things.
I don't know. May Rose also had the thickness to it. She wasn't just all titty.
Right, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I mean, $15.99 a month is crazy for the pictures that are going to leak in 2 months anyway. But
If not sooner.
right, um, but yeah, I do think AEW, if she stays in wrestling, will be the move. She'll go get the bag. She'll be a good pop for 2 weeks before she's jobbing to Mercedes Hogan over there.
I can see her putting on a couple of hardcore matches. She seems like she has like the personality and kind of like she seems like she's a fan of wrestling, so where she would want to do some hardcore matches. I mean, if she wants to try to go for a world title, I mean TNA is there. I feel like I know Masha Slamovich is currently a champion. She's a better wrestler, but Cora has name value, face value, and she was, working with TNA as part of the partnership with NXT. So she has recognition over there with the fans. So I could see her possibly going for a world title over there. She's also one of the wrestlers that strikes me where if she doesn't burn her bridges, we can see her back at WWE
100%.
within like next 4 years.
100%.
I don't think she'll make a big as impact as Cody, but I think she's one of those guys like a Shawn Spears or Aleister Black, who will go over, get a taste of the water, see the green grass, and then come back and try to plant her own garden in
Right.
WWE.
I do think she is only 24, so I definitely think she'll come back. Of the names released, she's the one that I'm most likely going to guarantee will come back, just because she has the time to get better. Her issue was she just got passed by the better but it was she's just not athletic enough. She's not believable in the ring at this point when you have someone her same age like Sol Ruka or Kalani Jordan who are taking over, and then you bring in Stephanie Vaquer and Julia and Zarya and all of them. I just there wasn't really a place for her on NXT. Then you look up at the main roster and you got Rhea and Tiffany and Bianca and Charlotte and Becky and Lyra, Liv, and so you're already listing 10 names before you're even considered.
Like, she was slotted for the NXT Women's World Title. She was slotted for that. She was like the next up.
Right, but it seemed like every time they
hurt.
Right, it seemed like every time she got that push where they were ready to push her to be champion, she got hurt. And so that's a big concern I think that they have, which doesn't make sense to me because there's a woman who didn't get cut named Nikita Lyons who every time she steps in the ring she gets hurt. But
that might also be a contract. I mean, I'm not sure how what the variety is amongst NXT contracts, but maybe she might be a contract thing.
I don't know about that. And then the last one we'll do in this segment, Dakota Kai.
Wait, do you think what one thing I'm worried about with Cora Jade is that will her fans follow her? I don't know if she has the fan base that will keep up with her, because I think the only way she works her way back to WWE is if she has that fan following, almost like a CM Punk or Cody Rhodes, who still watch the main product but keep up with her daily like booking and everything.
I think she does have a cult fan base that I think will keep up with her, but I think we could say this with anyone who got cut. I mean, if you take out the tribalism, because there's going to be the WWE fans who like Cora Jade because she was in WWE, and the second she gets cut, they don't care about her anymore. Then you're going to have the AEW fans who said that she sucks, but now that she's a free agent, they want her. If we take both sides of the tribalism out of it, I think there is a core fan base that she does have. I don't know how big it is, but I do know she has a somewhat of a following on in the major sort of like hardcore fan bases.
Because like you had like fans like me who I watched like 90% WWE
Right.
throughout my life, and say like when Cody Rhodes left, I was googling his name like I follow, especially in high school. I
Right.
was following Cage Side Seats. You
Okay.
follow Cage Side Seats, the website, and every day they drop like a rumors of the day stuff or news of the day
Right.
thing. Quick little 2-minute read. So every day I'll go to that website, look at the latest stuff, and I'm seeing all the Cody Rhodes news every single day. I'm seeing what happened to Drew McIntyre when he was going by Luke Gallows on the indie scene. I'm seeing what's going on with Matt Cardona. So like those are like three of the guys where I kind of had my finger on the pulse of
Right.
what they're doing outside of WWE and CM
I
Punk and
don't.
stuff like that. So
Right.
like, is she one of those
I
people
don't.
where?
I don't think she has that type of following. That, especially with
Bobby
here's what's going to be
Lashley.
here's what's going to be the problem, right? So Drew McIntyre, he leaves, he becomes Drew Galloway, but he has a face recognition that you sort of remember. Cody Rhodes got to keep his name, and so Matt Cardona has the face recognition, and he can do the woo woo woo, and that's what people can. With Cora Jade having to change her name back to her indie name, which I don't know if there's going to be that. There's not going to be the name recognition for the casual fans that cared about her. The hardcore, more NXT fans will stick with her, but I don't know if there'll be someone like you just described who. I don't think she will reach the level of a Cody Rhodes, where like you said, you were searching for Cody Rhodes online and trying to figure out what's going on with him.
Or,
I don't
or,
think.
or even the news websites
Right.
thought that he was big enough to put them in their
Yeah,
daily scoops.
I think I'll just be honest. I think she's going. This is why I kind of laughed that she's already on OnlyFans, because she's going to do exactly what Mandy Rose did, and the only time they're ever in the news is when they're complaining about something, like Mandy Rose was complaining about Tiffany using a catchphrase or whatever, or whenever a photo goes viral. And I think she's going to pigeonhole herself. And unless you're doing OnlyFans content, no one's going to care about you.
Mm.
And I think that's a dangerous place to be, because it can definitely pay well. She'll make a lot of money off of it, but I don't necessarily think that's going to translate to like the wrestling fan base side of this.
Mm.
And we'll end this segment with Dakota Kai. I think maybe she probably already has offers waiting for her.
Mm.
She screams AEW 100%. Though I feel like she's too old for TNA. I feel like TNA is under the directive of WWE that if you're going to sign anyone, sign young superstars, because we want to use that as developmental. And so I feel like AEW is really the best option for her. Again, I think she gets stuck in the mid card. They don't seem to be doing anything with the main card outside of Tony Storm in AEW. And who knows where that's going to lead. But what do you think about Dakota?
I see AEW. I can see her and Mercedes Moné putting on a good series of matches.
Yeah.
Again, like she's cut good promos in the past as far as being part of feuds and stuff, but I don't know if she's the type of wrestler that you can put the company on the back. Like,
Right.
that's why she wasn't really in the world title picture, and she was like kind of hovering the mid card when they finally brought it in, the mid card titles. But she didn't even win that. So I don't know if we could put a division on Dakota Kai's back.
Yeah, she screams like Collision and ROH. I don't think you put her on Dynamite as like the face of your company. But I think she has a chance to put on some good matches.
She also screams like better chasing the belt
Yeah,
than,
yeah,
than holding it for a long
100%.
time.
100%. I also think this could be a situation where if she's there, I don't think this will happen, but Bayley's contract's ending soon. There's always been these rumors that Bayley's going to jump ship, uh, which I personally don't really think is a big loss at this point. They've basically already replaced Bayley on the main roster. So if Bayley did want to swap, you could sort of create like a version of Damage Control with Bayley, Mercedes, and Dakota, and sort of have that same.
Well, if I was AEW, I would recreate the Boston Hug connection,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
cut the work that they were doing during the
Right,
COVID lockdown.
right.
That was some of their best work as wrestlers.
Yeah, I agree.
Shayna Baszler, another big name release. Well, and I think I don't know if you listened to Dirty D's take on it. I think he had a really good take as far as Shayna Baszler, how she's kind of too legit for like women's wrestling,
I just don't.
especially the
This is my
WWE
personal.
market.
This is my appeal, or this is my opinion on Shayna Baszler. Right? He's right. She's too real, but he's also speaking as someone who is more of a UFC fan anyway. I don't think that I don't think he realizes, or most wrestling fans that are more casual, I don't think they realize how little wrestling fans, like the hardcore fans, care about combat wrestling. And so even like me myself, like more casual than most, I don't care about MMA. Like I don't watch it. Um, and so her style just doesn't work with pro wrestling in and of itself because we know it's scripted, and so when you try to come out like her matches with Lola Vice and Underground, where you're who has the best, right hand or whatever, who's the best boxer, is basically what.
Those matches are pretty good though with her Lola Vice ones.
But you could see through it. We all know it's fake, and
Oh,
so
I
it
know,
doesn't.
but the reason I see they're pretty good because Lola Vice, since she has the background, story
Right,
wise,
but
and then when
imagine
you
if they,
see the action,
but imagine if they allowed them to shoot fight.
oh yeah, Shayna
That's
is whooping her ass.
right, and so Shayna lost the match if I remember correctly, and I could, and most wrestling fans can see through. We know it's not real, so why? It's the same thing with like when they did Brawl for All and they did try to do real shoot fighting, like
Hmm.
it didn't work. I just don't think that there's an actual crossover between MMA, combat fighting, and pro wrestling. And
Well,
she wasn't good at the pro wrestling sports entertainment side of having a character and being
yeah,
entertaining.
I think she would do really well over like New Japan or GCW, where she can kind of pick her opponents. Where like when she does like the blood sport stuff, that was pretty cool. Like what she could do like more kind of like technical wrestling and like a hard hitting kind of slower pace. So I feel like if she kind of does like the Matt Cardona route, where she kind of uses her WWE name, uses her WWE like history, and fame, but she can kind of like pick her opponents, and she could pick the ones who complement her style as more of like two badass women kind of hard hitting each other. Because like for example, like say what she was facing like a Maxine Dupree, and like Maxine kind of gets the best of her, or like hits a move or two, and like Shayna has to bump for a Maxine. It makes Shayna look really bad compared to like if an Natalia bumps for a Maxine. Like Natalia just looks like another wrestler. But like when Shayna, especially how dominant she was in NXT and the way she was booked down there compared to her main roster run, when Shayna isn't booked like a badass who's up against triple threats and when she has to bump for these lower talents, it really kills her character. And then it takes a lot to build her back up. But again, they're not
But
really they're not going to commit long term, big stuff to Shayna because she's not the sports entertainer. But like, say if she were to take some offense from Becky, it doesn't hurt her as bad. But you're not wrestling Becky Lynch every night. There's nights where you're going to have to give offense to a Maxine or a Kayden Carter or
right,
so
right.
it looks really extra bad.
which is again sort of what what I was alluding to is she doesn't fit because her character never changed in the whatever like 8 years she was there. The problem is like I don't think that wrestling fans care about combat sports. They want to, and so the people who like Shayna Baszler like the combat stuff, and I don't think I don't think WWE was the right place for her. Because I'll be honest, I've never been a Shayna Baszler fan. I just it didn't the same, but I was the same way with Ronda. I just didn't think it was realistic to for me to expect Ronda Rousey to come into this world where we
She
know
had a little
she's a real
personality, though.
fighter, huh?
Ronda had a little more personality though, and she had a star power to her because she was so big in UFC. And when she initially came in, she
But
came in as a face, and she
but when she
came in
came
kind of
in,
happy.
when Ronda came in, those who did watch UFC because I watched a little bit back then when they had the bigger names like Ronda and I mean Punk and Brock Lesnar. But before Ronda came in, like if she would have come in and retired from USC before she got the shit beat out of her by Holly Holm, I think people would have cared more about her. But she came in way too late, and what we just saw, anyone who watched UFC that was watching WWE just saw her get the shit beat out of her legitimately. So I don't think that there's a way for me to believe that she can beat anyone else. I just I don't think that transition is there. I don't think you can cross over from, which is why like whenever on Raw and stuff they show all the UFC fighters, and I know they do it because TKO wants UFC to get some of the push from WWE, but I don't think there's a lot of people in the fan base who are watching UFC on a month to month basis that watch wrestling.
But I definitely feel Ronda was a little more relatable from a
Yeah,
crowd aspect than Shayna is, and a little bit more of a friendly face. A little bit, she was definitely a better talker.
100%, 100%.
And she was also put into the big matches like early on, so she seemed more credible. Where Shayna, she had like a small little grace period, but then she kind of because also she came under Vince. I mean, Ronda did too, but Vince when Vince saw Ronda, he saw money dollar signs and saw yada yada. But when he saw Shayna, he just saw another wrestler, but who wasn't hot. So I mean, he didn't see money. He didn't see dollar signs with Shayna, and also Ronda was a little bit smaller, a little bit of a better bumper, but Shayna, she was a good wrestler. She was very reliable. If I were Shayna, I would take independent. I would go to AEW. I would take my independent bookings, and I would do a program. I wouldn't sign long term with AEW, but I would test the waters in AEW if I was Shayna.
Yeah, I have zero care about Shayna Baszler, to be honest with you. I just don't care. I didn't like her on the roster. Don't really care now that she's off the roster. When I saw the name, it was a little bit like about time because it really is about like she survived so many cuts. But we'll move forward.
The one thing she was missing was a mouthpiece. I think if she got paired with a Paul Heyman or a Paul Heyman light, I feel like we could have got a similar maybe like a Taz or a smaller version of Brock Lesnar, kind of just like a badass. It lets the manager do the talking for her and see maybe that could have worked. I think that's what was missing from her run.
All right, so we'll move forward. We'll talk about last night's Monday Night Raw. So I'll ask you your thoughts on it, and then I'll give mine. What did you think about this episode?
You missed your boy Ora Mensa, your metaphor guy.
Right, I didn't want to do all the names. I just wanted to pick some of them. So I picked more of the more knowable names, and then put on, Jakara Jackson was really the more.
You're a metaphor guy, Deep. You're a metaphor flag waver.
I am,
where you were. But Raw was good. It was one of the better shows as of late. Raw's been hitting pretty well. SmackDown, even this past week, I was watching it, and the boys were like, "Hey, you want to play some video games instead?" And I was like, "Yeah, SmackDown's kind of dry right now." So me and Withers started playing some video games. Shout out Withers, we're playing we're playing Cyber Frag or Frag, whatever it's called. But anyways, Raw was solid this week. I enjoyed the opening segment with Jay and Paul Heyman. I like how Paul Heyman and Seth kind of had the plan, and Jay fell right into it, kind of thing. And the match, Jay looked very strong in the match against Seth. They actually put on a really good wrestling match. For all the haters who say Jay Uso can't wrestle, like he put on a good match with Seth Rollins, a really good TV main event match. We got more Penta, which I like. We got Penta versus Dom at Backlash, which is gonna be a good match. Um, Still more growing tension between Finn and Judgment Day. Let's see. We got Gunther and Pat McAfee. So the crowd. I like the crowd this week. The crowd is very lively. I know some people were comparing it to like a U.S. version of the overseas crowds, but like I thought they were reacting very well. I know Pat, he knows how to talk to the simple Americans. You know what I'm saying? The middle of the country Americans. Pat knows how to talk to them. That's his people's. When it comes to college football and NASCAR and all that kind of stuff. So Pat got them riled up. Gunther did his thing on his side of the feud to also get them going. The Io Sky versus Roxanne Perez was a really good match. That crowd was fully behind Io Sky. Io does like her little flip and she does the pointing like this kind of thing. You can visually see the crowd behind her. Everyone's doing the thing too with her. So they're getting more behind her, which I'm loving. Everybody's getting on the Io Sky bandwagon, which I've been telling y'all to hop on. All right. Wavy D, all aboard. Toot choo. I've been telling y'all, Io Sky, that's money right there. It's the future. It's the present. I should say it's the present, and we're headed towards the future. Let's see. We got John Cena is gonna be on SmackDown this week, so we'll see what happens there. Let's see. Oh, I like the CM Punk interference. It makes a lot of sense. Sami Zayn. So we kind of have we're gonna have like a light version of the Super Friends again. Now we're gonna see the Seth Rollins bring in a fourth member sooner rather than later, kind of thing, and hopefully we get answer pretty soon. We get more development / prolonging of the Austin Theory and Grayson Waller story. I'm hoping that gets resolved pretty soon. Give my boy Austin Theory back in the limelight. Give him his cell phone back. Give him turn him face or something. I'm a big Theory guy. I don't know about you. I'm a big Austin Theory guy. I see a bright future for him. Grayson Waller, he's cool too, but he's not as good a wrestler as I thought he was when I watched him in NXT. I guess he was more of a highlight reel guy, but he's not as much of a week-to-week wrestling guy like I like anymore. Also, they should have brought back Omos for the one time. That was a bad surprise bringing back Sheamus. I know the WWE world loves Sheamus, but I'm a little past Sheamus at this point. Logan Paul did a beatdown post show, which I didn't see. I just heard they did a beatdown post show on Jey Uso. Overall, Raw was very good, very digestible, an easy watch. There were some small holes, like there was no Liv Morgan, no Rhea Ripley. Since their program is done, there was no Bianca on TV on Raw. But they weren't lacking superstars per se. There was no Grande Americano. We missed him this week. But it was a good show. I liked it.
Yeah, so I like the adjective good. We have this issue going on with, and it's not just casual wrestling fans, it's the hardcores as well. The IWC, like, oh, well, that's such a great episode. One of the best we've had. Well, the build to WrestleMania was complete dog shit. And so when you compare palatable food to complete dog shit, it's going to look far and above. But it was I don't think it was a great episode. I think it was a decent episode overall. The starting promo with Paul Heyman and Jey Uso 100% started the show great. You and me might differ in this, but Jey Uso getting 10 minutes every single week of yeets and then replays and then yeets, it's got to stop. I'm
It
over
wasn't that long this week.
No, it's got to stop. And here's why it's got to stop. If you do it every single week this way, not only does it annoy the people like me, but for it doesn't make it special. So you brought up like, oh, but you're the same guy who would stand up for Roman Reigns with his hand in the air. Yes, because Roman Reigns wasn't on TV every single week doing it.
Well, what he was though.
If he was, then I would say
but there was a stretch of time where Roman was on TV every week doing the point.
But he was building towards programs. Jey Uso's not building towards anything that I like. A lot of it is I'm over Jey. There's a Jey fatigue with me. But I also don't think Jey Uso is the best candidate to hold that title. I get you want the moment and I get you want, all of that. I of the mindset Gunther should have retained. But I get Gunther is being positioned to, unfortunately, give Bill Goldberg his retirement match. And so you had to take the belt off of him to do that. Because Goldberg's not going to lose because, it's not going to work for him. But I don't think Jey Uso's world championship material. The eating is already annoying. But I've been saying this since, I'm not new to this bandwagon. I've been saying this since he won Royal Rumble, if not before, that I was not on the train. Everyone's got to get off. Is he decent at wrestling? Sure. But I told everybody that this was going to get highly annoying and it was going to be a really awful championship run. And I think I'm going to stand correct. Hopefully, if it goes the way that I think it's going to go, Seth Rollins will be world champion within the next month and a half. And everything will be back to normal.
His Heat celebration wasn't even that long this week.
It's not that it's long. It's that more for me. It's that it's annoying. It's just simply annoying.
The live crowd loves it. You know what I'm saying?
But not everyone loves it though. I mean, it's the psychology of you don't want to look like you're, that you're missing out on TV, and so people would go along with it. And that's the problem is a lot of wrestling fans are very, very easily manipulated. And when they tell you to do something, that's the same thing with all movies and entertainment forms. They know that the general populace is easily manipulated, so they'll tell you who to cheer for, and you'll cheer for them. I'm not easily manipulated. Jey Uso is not good at what he's doing, and does not deserve the world heavyweight champion. But we'll move past that.
What?
The whole Judgment Day and Finn thing. Can we just get this shit over with? I feel the same way with Waller and Theory. I don't know what they're holding on from pulling the trigger on breaking these groups up for, because we've been teasing this for what feels like better part of a year at this point.
Oh, yeah, I think they see Dominic versus Finn as a high quality SummerSlam matchup.
I mean, but you could still break them up now.
Well, I mean, you got what? So what's between now and SummerSlam? You got main event. We got Backlash main event, and then
you got Saudi and Money in the Bank.
So I think you gotta wait a little bit longer before you start the feud, because then you're gonna have that match at Money in the Bank or something. So you gotta wait.
You don't have more time. You don't have no. I think you could break them up now. The problem is you've been teasing Finn leaving Judgment Day for almost a year, even before the Dom stuff. And so at some point, people just, at least I lose interest in it. You've been teasing a Waller and Theory breakup for what feels like their entire main roster run. And at this point, it's sort of like when the New Day broke up, or were teasing the breakup. they teased it for so long that if they were to actually break up, it wouldn't have mattered.
I think one small thing that threw a wrench in the situation was that how over Dominic got. He's kind of a baby face now in a way. Okay, if you notice, Dom wasn't out there when JD was having his match against Penta. It was just Carlito and Finn Balor. Dom
Right.
wasn't even out there. So I think a small wrench in the plan was Dom now being a babyface. So I think
But
maybe
Dom's been over though.
well, he's been over, but he was still getting booed like if he picked up a microphone. They were still booing him. But now he won a championship, they were out and about cheering him. So I think maybe now they might be trying to write themselves into a way to possibly also turn Liv maybe babyface and have them be like a little face duo. So I think right now they're in the writing room trying to figure out what's next for Judgment as a whole.
But they've been teasing this. Listen to Finn Balor, Liv Morgan's actually being the leader since Liv Morgan joined Judgment Day. She essentially just became Rhea Ripley, and Finn Balor didn't like it. Again, this thing has been going on for like 8 months. I think at some point you actually have to pull the trigger for people to care.
Well, I think at one point they're going to try to make Finn the face in this situation, but now they're like, shit, tables have kind of turned, and Dom and Liv are the more likable ones in this situation. So I think now they got to kind of try to figure how we take Dom and Liv from a situation and keep them face, and we make make Finn super bad. Which I don't think making Finn super bad is the hard part. I think it's doing that while keeping Liv with Dom. I feel like Dom could be face on his own, but it's just that. And also, it's just their characters. Their characters don't scream face. They're not faces. They're just likable heels.
But we also have to understand that the way and this is the problem, is that the crowd, the way that wrestling crowds work now, is a lot of them are just going to cheer for their favorites. And so everyone likes Dominic and everyone likes Liv. So that's why they cheer for him. There really isn't a heel or face in wrestling anymore, outside of who's going to be the good guy in the story. But in terms of the fan reaction, if people like Dom, they're going to cheer for him, no matter what his role on the screen is.
He's actually going down the Eddie Guerrero path now.
I think that I don't think it's all that complicated. Just commit to something and break them up, because the constant the slow burn doesn't work for me, and Triple H loves the slow burn, and it's not working. Lyra versus Becky promo. I don't like heel Becky. I don't. But the reason I'm okay with it being on TV is because it's getting Lyra on the mic, which is something we haven't seen, and it's allowing her to become, the more sympathetic baby face. That I feel like this is going to be the better version of what they tried to do with Charlotte and Tiffany, but Becky and Lyra are actual professionals and are going to do it the correct way.
Well, Lyra did a pretty good promo last night. She did pretty good.
Yeah, well, she does a lot of good promo.
It started off rocky, but
it started off rocky because fucking Becky Lynch brought up garbage and recycling, so you have to answer that.
I like heel Becky better. I think
heel Becky is absolute cringe. She's not a good heel. The problem is that she sounds like fucking Frodo when he loses the ring. And she screams in the mic. It's not a good look. I don't like it. But I did like the segment because it did. Here's where, and we're about to go into predictions, but here's my fear. Lyra on a go-home show ended the segment with her finisher, which doesn't typically go well for baby faces. So we'll take that as an early prediction as to where my prediction's going for that match. But I liked that. I liked Penta's match versus he wrestled Dom, correct?
No, he wrestled JD McDonough.
JD, that's right. It was a decent match. Otis and Rusev was fine.
I like this version of Rusev.
I like it. I don't like the theme. I absolutely hate the theme music. But I think this version of Rusev is fine. I don't like that he's feuding with Alpha Academy because ever since Chad Gable died to the Wyatts and left the Alpha Academy, they've been completely useless.
Well,
Um,
if the breadcrumbs are leaving about his character's motivation, if it actually turns out that it comes true, and like we kind of get we get a heel Otis or we get a stronger Otis from all this, I like it because right now they're kind of what they're trying with the story that they're trying to, well, at least they're telling over the commentary, is that Rusev is looking at for individuals who aren't living up to their potential, and he wants them to he wants to see
yeah,
them
he's
strive, yada yada, like kind of like the tough love kind of way, and if we can get, I don't know how heel Otis would kind of act, but more less goofy, more
but that's what makes I'll be honest. That's what makes Otis Otis. Like Otis is
likable.
low.
Yeah,
Otis is liked because of he's the goofy big guy who can get the pretty girl. And so it's similar to like Hank and Tank, where Hank and Tank doesn't get over without the gimmick they're in because they don't have the greatest look, but they're silly. They're they're and that's exactly like I thought immediately of pairing, Hank and Tank with an Alpha Academy type situation. I think that would work with them. I don't want to heal Otis. I'll be honest. I don't
well,
think it'll work.
the Otis I like to see is when he was with Chad Gable at the very start of Alpha Academy, when he was Chad's star pupil before they brought in Maxine, before they brought in Tozawa, and like it was those two versus Randy and Matt Riddle, kind of like around that time, because Otis was still being protected and being treated as a big monster threat, while still being entertaining. But he wasn't full on goofball to the point where I think anyone can beat him now.
But I think there's a line where you can have him be the goofball who gets the girl while still making him. I mean, the dude's an actual wrestler who's like 340. Most people can't beat him, no matter how goofy he is. I think that there's a line you could draw where he's not pure jobber. Like, why is he not fighting for the IC title? That's the thing that annoys me, is that he's a legitimate contender for your IC championship. And he's not fighting for it. He's jobbing to Rusev, which isn't a bad thing. Rusev needs someone to put him over. Otis deserves a lot more than what he's getting.
Well, as I was saying, his best character was early days of Alpha Academy.
I like heel Alpha Academy. I don't think heel Otis was great, just personally. I like him better as, the goofy guy who can snag a Maxine Dupree or Mandy Rose. Overall though, I do think the Raw was okay. I think it had a very good high. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of how it ended. And I lost. There he is. There we go. Yeah, him back here. There we go. I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of how Raw ended. I get that it's probably jumping the gun to expect Seth to win on a Monday Night Raw. But I do think that it would have been more interesting, more entertaining to have that happen. Because I don't think we're getting maybe Saturday Night Main Event we'll get the tag match Sammy and Punk versus Braun and Seth, but I ultimately, in order for what I think they're trying to do with Seth's feud here, you have to get the belt off Jay, and you could have started that early by just having him lose. I don't think Jay needs a long title run. I'm of the perspective Seth should have won last night. That's just me though. But with that, we'll move into Backlash because we'll talk about it. And I want to make this painfully clear for everyone because I had to sit through a 2-hour live stream from JD from NY talking about there's 6 matches when there's not. There's only 5. Jay and Logan Paul are not on this card. That Saturday night main event, I promise you. But we'll start with overall thought before we predict the card. We'll start with overall thoughts on the card. What are your thoughts?
Let's see. I think the card is strong enough. But Backlash has historically it's always been a weak pay-per-view because you're kind of coming off of all the stories that are, all the big stories that just reached their climax at Mania. You're kind of starting fresh, but especially this year, there wasn't that much time in between shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget if in the olden days, if Backlash was always a combined pay-per-view or if it was a brand-specific pay-per-view. I forget.
So Backlash typically was just, we're going to redo WrestleMania.
Well, that was like for a few short years when it was labeled WrestleMania Backlash, and they finally dropped the WrestleMania part from it. But before that, like in the early 2000s and stuff like that, in the early 2010s, I forget if it was brand specific or not. But yeah, that's the problem. Is that, you have a lot of new feuds. We still have a little bit of hangover from WrestleMania in some ways, to where the pay-per-view always seems kind of rushed or not quite as hyped, and it's always been like a C level pay-per-view. Like, there's definitely not a show historically that I would go out my way and try to get tickets for. But the card itself isn't too bad. It has matches that I think will put on great quality ring work. And also the problem is that it's the first pay-per-view after Mania where a lot of titles change hands. And so in WWE, especially as of late, they don't do a lot of short title runs especially under a month anymore. And I mean, you could change some title hands around, but then you're kind of like, well, what was the point of Mania kind of thing? Yada yada. What was the point of the win at Mania? So and when we look at the card, we have what? We got Cena versus Orton. Cena just won it. Does Orton really win the title here kind of thing? Like, it would be cool if he did do it, yes, but then it's like, it kind of like shits on the whole Cody aspect of the story. And it's going to make the win at WrestleMania seem even lamer, the way the match ended at WrestleMania, because that still has a bad taste in people's mouths. I feel like if Randy Orton won, it makes that ending even worse at WrestleMania. You got Lyra versus Becky. I'm sure it's going to be a great match. But again, even their story feels a little rushed. It was just WrestleMania where they won the titles and then lost them again the next night or whatever. So, and now they're facing each other for an IC title. Just seems a little rushed. You got the United States Championship being defended in a fatal 4-way. I mean, that story has, more time behind it. But again, Chico Fatu just won the title. So I don't know which story you want to tell. I don't know. I think it's too early to get into I think it's too early for him to win the title to dive into him versus Solo thing. So I think you build up Jacob's dominance in a way. He gets a win, but it's gonna be a great quality match. But the story behind it is what Jacob, LA Knight, LA Knight, Damian Priest, and who's the fourth guy?
Drew
McIntyre.
Yeah.
Even fighting for the U.S. title, I feel like is out of Drew's like wheelhouse right now. I feel like Drew's a main event guy. Why is he going for the U.S. title? And then you got what's after that? You got the women's match. Yeah, Dom and Penta
and Pat.
Again, even with Dom and Penta, like Dom won a match at Mania, but since then it's more been Penta versus like the rest of Judgment Day kind of thing. Like Dom didn't even make an appearance in the match this past Monday. So it was weird that Penta just got an IC match out of nowhere. So Penta beats JD McDonough and all of a sudden is number one contender for the IC title. Like Braun Breaker doesn't get a rematch for the IC title. Like what we doing here? What's the other women's match? Isn't there 2 women's matches on the card?
There's only one.
Oh, they got Pat Gunther.
Yeah.
Which again, everything just feels a little rushed. You know.
Right.
Again,
right.
It's a C level PLE, so I get it, but yeah.
So
that's my thoughts on the show.
Before we go into predictions, I'll respond. I agree with some of what you said. I do think a lot of the stories feel rushed, but that's because it's literally 3 weeks ago we had WrestleMania. But so my main concern, I don't care about Cena and Orton. I think that match is not going to cook the way people are thinking it is. It's a completely different style. You have a face Orton, a heel Cena. It's going to be very slow and methodical. There's going to be some form of interference. 100% believe that. You have, Lyra and Becky will be fine. The fatal 4-way for the U.S. title, I think, is the match I'm the most okay with happening. So with Lyra and Becky, if I go back there real quick, my number one complaint for that is what it's always been. This should have taken place at the Royal Rumble. You should have crowned Lyra on the January 6th. Becky should have come out to congratulate her for winning the title, turned on her, built to this match at Rumble where Becky wins, and there's my early prediction. So where Becky wins, the heel Becky wins the title, Lyra chases to get it back, and then at Mania, Lyra beats Becky. Because essentially what this is going to lead to is Becky losing at SummerSlam to Lyra, where she'll win the title back. And then Dom and Penta, that'll be a fun match. I think El Grande gets involved and with the Penta side of it, and there's not much that. The match that I have the biggest problem with is Pat McAfee versus Gunther, and here's why. It's not the Gunther side of the equation. I'm fine with this. It's that out of the 12 names on this card, one of them is a commentator who hasn't wrestled in over 3 years. And I just personally am not okay with that. I think this match is going to be fine. Gunther doesn't have bad matches. He has never had a bad match in his career. This has to go one way. So we'll start our predictions and we'll start it with this match. This has to go one way. This has to be a bloodbath. McAfee can't get any offense. Anything less than that is highly disrespectful to a Gunther character who I personally believe should still be world champion. And I'm looking at it. This is 100% meant to set up Gunther versus Goldberg, which irritates me more than anything. So if Kara can get the petition set up for WWE to stop fucking around with Gunther, I'll sign it 1,000 times.
That's not what her petition said. Her petition said to get rid of Gunther.
That is not what it said.
Yeah, that's why I told her, fuck you.
That is not at all what it said.
Is that what it said?
It is not what it said. The petition said, can we have a petition for WWE to stop fucking with Gunther?
Oh, I thought it was like for us to stop fucking with him. To stop being fans of him.
No, she's a big fan of Gunther. And so am I. Gunther has to win this match, and it can't even be close. Pat McAfee has to leave on a fucking stretcher with a neck brace, bleeding all over the place. Anything less than that is highly disappointing.
And bring back Corey Graves.
I mean, he's fine on Tuesdays, but
we need just Vic Joseph and Booker T on Tuesday.
I mean, that's fine. You going Gunther here as well?
Yes, Gunther.
Yeah. All right, so we'll then go Lyra versus Becky. I sort of given away my pick. I think Becky Lynch is winning this match.
Give me Lyra Valkyria.
There's a mystery. Could Bailey show back up? That's the only sort of wild card that I could see.
Real quick on Bailey, you saw the news that she said she wants to try a romantic storyline, a
Yeah,
romance story.
yeah, it's crazy.
But
But
we need more of those WWE. We need to bring back some of these romance, sexy stories.
I mean, Ashante's already trying to get past Carmen and said that Bailey, he's ready to be her lover. So
I'm just saying, I miss the days where we go backstage and the women are flocking at the guy with the world title, trying to see it spin on his waist. You know, so
aha! That's where
yeah.
that laugh came from, Ricochet. By the way, you fucking thief. Anyway, but Dominic versus Penta.
Down no let's see. I think Grande El I think Grande shows up.
Yeah,
Grande
100%.
Americano. I just
You're
don't know if it's gonna be he caused Penta the match
right,
or it's a DQ finish.
right.
But give me Dom walks out still holding the title.
Agreed. 100%. El Grande is getting involved. Your new speed champion, by the way. Grande Americano. We'll get involved. I like you said. Either way, Dom's gonna walk out with the championship. Fatal 4-way for the United States. Jacob Fatu, LA Knight, Priest, and McIntyre. I think it's pretty fucking obvious what's gonna happen. Fatu's gonna win. He can then boast, I beat the 3 best guys that has gone against me. Eventually, this leads to Fatu and Solo.
Give me Fatu and I'll one up you. I think Tala Tonga finally makes his debut.
The big one, the one that we haven't seen yet. All
Yeah,
right.
and I think he helps him wreck shop in the fail forward match and clears house.
Let me add something else to you because the rumor is if Jeff Cobb, if for those who watch New Japan would know who, which is probably nobody, but if he does show up, the rumor is that he could be, because of his Samoan heritage, that he might be Jacob's enforcer.
Isn't he also from MLW, Jeff Cobb or whatever?
So he's mostly known from Japan, but he was in Lucha Underground as a different name. He had he had a mask and shit on though, so no, you wouldn't be able to recognize him.
Oh no, I was asking if he was from MLW because maybe I was wondering if he had history with Jacob Fatu on the promotion.
He might have. I don't really pay attention to MLW, so
I was going to go watch some of their matches if they had history.
I'm sure there may be something.
Shout to Indiana Pacers. Tyrese Halliburton hit a dagger 3-pointer in the final seconds to put to lead the comeback over the Cavs. Shout Mike because the Pacers fucked up your Milwaukee Bucks.
So there's a couple like indie matches with Fatu and Jeff Cobb against each other. But the rumor is that he might come in and be Fatu's like enforcer, sort of like Fatu's going to take over the bloodline and kick Solo out.
They're like the same size. Like the enforcer role seems right. So dumb when you're all the same size. It's like your enforcer got to be a big ass dude.
Agreed.
Be bigger than you.
Agreed. And then we'll end with the main event. Cena and Randy. I mean, Cena's leaving with the fucking title. My number one concern is, are we getting Travis Scott? Because if Travis Scott is here again, I might crash out. I might actually crash out.
Give me Randy Orton winning by disqualification.
Okay. I see what you did there.
I think the match is gonna go on. It's gonna go on, and I think John Cena's just gonna say fuck it and low blow and just kick Orton in the nuts, and then walk away. That will get a lot of heat.
Yeah, it would. And then he's gonna go to the press conference, pick up the mic, drop it, and then walk out again. Anyway, So there's our predictions. Like you said, it's a C tier pay per view, so there's not much. I mean, it'll be a good card. I'm just not necessarily the most excited for it. If and like so, I guess we'll end with this. Does Goldberg show up on Saturday?
Yes, because they need something to keep Gunther busy until they put him back in the title picture.
So, yeah. So I agree that he's going to be that match. So the rumors is they may do it at SummerSlam. I do not think they're going to wait that long. Goldberg's coming back for two reasons. One, he wants a retirement match. Two, payday. And Saudi offers the best payday. I don't think he shows up though
At Backlash, he comes back on Raw.
I think he shows up at Saturday Night Main Event. They need something to give the more casual crowd excited. That's why I think Logan Paul and Jey Uso is happening there and not the PLE. I think they'll find something for Gunther, whether it's a promo or some other type of match that Goldberg will then come out. Or maybe even Goldberg shows up just randomly on the show. It's in Tampa. He lives in the South. And so I think Goldberg will show up at Saturday Night Main Event on the 24th, call out Gunther, set up the match for Saudi, which is rumored to be end of June. I don't actually think it's been announced yet, but it's supposed to be like a Night of Champions. And
Here's
then
what I think Gunther gives Pat a bloodbath or whatever. He comes out Monday night on Netflix. He's giving a promo or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think Goldberg comes out on Raw. And then I think they have the contract signing at Saturday Night Main Event.
I can see that. 100% can get behind that.
And then the show at Saudi.
Okay, I 100% agree with that. I cannot see them pushing this out to SummerSlam. I think this is an easy. Unfortunately, that means Gunther's going to have to lose, because I don't see Goldberg going out on his shoulders. So with that, we'll transition to our questions from the Discord segment. We got plenty of questions here. First one: do you think we'll ever see an NXT or TNA star win a title outside of their company? I'm assuming what B-Master means here is, will an NXT champion or star ever win a TNA belt, or will a TNA star ever win an NXT belt?
I think your best chance is with the current people kind of in the mixture. I think Trick Williams going after Joe Henry and his title, and then Joe Henry going after Oba. I think the more likely option is Trick Williams winning the TNA World Championship.
Yeah.
And then maybe put Trick Williams in a program against AJ Francis and his group of people.
Okay. I mean, I could see it happening. My answer is no, solely because I don't think that's the point of the partnership. I think from TNA, they benefit alone just by having the ability to have NXT superstars come down and for their bigger names to get on the WWE programming. Like TNA marketed the shit out of Joe Hendry being on WrestleMania. And so it's now leading to where they're looking at bigger TV deals. And I think that's how that benefits TNA. And then for WWE, you basically have an entire company you don't have to pay, that you're essentially getting free access to scout, essentially. So you'll take the big ones like you did with Jordan Grace. Eventually, Joe Hendry will sign with WWE. You'll take the more bigger, popular names. And I also think it's one of these things where we'll run like they did with Cora and Gigi Dolan and all of them. We'll run you down there, see if you get liked by the fan base. And if that's the case, we'll release you so we don't have to pay you. And, in the essence of a Gigi Dolan, her husband works for the company. I think that's where she's going. So she'll fit there very well. So I think that's where WWE benefits, is being able to use it as developmental to get reps. So I don't think there's ever really a need for the titles to swap brands, to be honest with you. I think we'll see like dream matches where like we saw with an Oba and a Moose. I just don't ever think the titles will ever swap hands.
I can also see, I think later this year, maybe we get like a TNA invasion angle where, like, especially when we have like all these former WWE stars, if they go to TNA,
That'd be crazy.
Do a TNA invasion where TNA versus NXT, and then they go off and maybe a War Games.
Yeah, I would have liked if this Worlds Collide. I know they're doing it with AAA. I would have liked them to add TNA to that. I think that would have.
Oh yeah,
that would have been crazy. But especially seeing some of the names in AAA have worked for TNA, like Vikingo has been, even I think this year has been on TNA. So, anyway, the next one. Do you see anyone that was fired making a comeback, or they find success elsewhere? We've already sort of talked about that, so we'll move on. B Master asks, why can't both shows, Raw and SmackDown, be good at the same time? It seems like 2 years ago SmackDown was the most must-see TV, and now it seems that is now Raw. What's your thoughts?
I think B Master has a point. I do feel like it's like that. I think a part of it was the Bloodline cinematic stuff that was going the cinema that was going on SmackDown at the time, and I felt like Raw was getting a short end, especially because SmackDown was on Fox and everything, and they were trying to please everybody, or kind of USA to the back seat. But now SmackDown's in USA taking the back seat while Raw's on Netflix got all the good stuff. So they definitely go through the ups and downs. Even like I feel like when the shows had their rebranding and their draft back in 2016, I feel like SmackDown was the better show in 2016. When it changed to SmackDown Live or whatever, I feel like they had the better show, and then Raw had it, and then SmackDown after COVID, SmackDown was the better show, and so they go back and forth. I think one of the problems is I'm pretty sure both shows share the same writing team. So I feel like one way that we could change this is that if they had their own designated writing teams and you kind of made like a competition, like almost like how the video games are, who can get the better ratings, make a ratings war, make a competition amongst each other, like the way you try to like show it on TV sometimes, where it's like he's got their own GM, or he's talking about what's best for business, yada yada. Like try to really push that and make it an in-house competition, giving them each team their own writers. Be like, hey, here's your superstars that you have at your disposal, and see who can make the brands like choose a side. Back in the day, I was a SmackDown kid. All right, some people were Raw guys. You know what I'm saying? Let's build this in-house tribalism. Let's build it back up.
I feel that. I think you nailed it on the head, though. It was 2 years ago. The hottest thing in wrestling was the Bloodline, and that's gone now. So SmackDown doesn't have anything to draw. Like if you go back to last Friday, right? And I know you didn't really watch all of it. I had it on, but wasn't really paying attention. You had a Phoenix and I forgot who he wrestled against. I think it was Santos. Pretty decent match, but it dragged on. Really didn't care about it. Really, no storylines are really happening. You don't have like the must-see segments, especially when your champion's never on TV. And Cody's gone. God knows where he went. And Roman's not there anymore. And Dwayne doesn't show up to work. And so you're left with a show that, Kevin Owens is injured. So you're left with a show that's basically being run, not that he can't do it, but by Randy Orton and by Jacob Fatu and a bunch of mid-carders, which isn't a necessarily bad thing. It's just not compelling television all the time. Whereas if you go to Raw, and a lot of it also has to deal with, at the time, SmackDown had the bigger TV deal, so you wanted to make Fox happy. But now you have the bigger deal with Netflix. And so you're going to do everything. I also think the timing aspect, I think once SmackDown goes back down to 2 hours, we'll probably feel better about the show.
a big thing is the commercial breakdowns.
100%.
Raw is going a lot smooth. Is going very smoothly with the commercials. Like they're doing a good job at like doing the commercials in between matches, or like they'll show a superstar kind of walk into the ring, and then when the commercial's over, both superstars are in the ring ready to wrestle, and we kind of get the full match out of it. We
Right.
get most of the match, and they're not stuck in picture. And I also like the way Netflix has a timer, so you know how long the ad's going to be.
Right.
So and like SmackDown, I feel like they're taking commercials at the worst time. Matches are taking place in
Dude, you'll have
picture.
yeah, you'll have entire segments in picture. It feels like you'll start the match, you'll hear the bell, then you'll hear the bell when you come back from commercial. SmackDown's just bad overall. And a lot of it is because you don't have anyone really interesting enough storyline wise. They could definitely benefit from a Drew McIntyre being in the world title scene. They could definitely benefit. If you make Theory turn on Waller, moving Waller down to SmackDown, I think it could benefit the roster. I don't know.
How long until SmackDown goes to Netflix?
I don't even know how long this deal is. I think at least 4 years left on the deal.
Oh, I thought it was shorter than that. Damn.
No, I think they signed like a 4 or 5 year deal with USA. We'll move to the next one. With Cora Jade doing OnlyFans, does that mean she's done wrestling? And will WWE take her back? Because B Master adds, I think she was talented, but just lacked a good move set. We kind of already discussed about the first part. Yes, I think she still wrestles, and yes, I think WWE will take her back. I don't ever think OnlyFans I don't think it's a disqualifier. You just can't have it. Chelsea had it, got rid of it, and now she's just re-signed. But I don't think that they'll look down on you. Like if Mandy Rose ever decided, hey, I want to come back and I'll delete my OnlyFans, WWE will take her back with open arms.
I think as long as they're on OnlyFans popping kitty, popping pussy. Like if you're on there getting raw dogged, I feel like they probably won't bring you back.
Okay, so Mandy Rose is out of the picture then, because
if you're just posting like sexy stuff and like maybe like a wet t-shirt or something like that. I mean you can get away with some topless stuff, but I feel like if you're in there getting like pounded, they're not bringing you back. Okay,
yeah.
I'm not familiar with Mandy Rose's thing. Is she just doing like the modeling, the sexy modeling, or is she getting like
I don't know firsthand because I ain't paying for this shit. Too broke for that. But from what I think from what I've seen, she does some nudity stuff and with her husband, old Sabatini.
Well, yeah, as long as there's nothing that like I don't know. As long as you're not pulling a page, I feel like you can get back on TV.
Right, I feel that.
Like Chelsea Green, she was just doing the sexy modeling stuff, right?
Chelsea? Yeah, Chelsea was basically just putting her Instagram photos, a little bit more risque, but it was just her in a bikini or her in some lingerie.
Yeah.
So I think this was Kara who asked this. Kara says, besides going to a party or to the club, so that eliminates Wavy D's favorite pastime. What are your top 5 fun things to do outside of work?
At home.
Can I just be honest with you? I don't do shit. I podcast, I watch wrestling, I go to work, and I go to sleep. I ain't got no more time in the day to do anything else. So you also everything that I like sports. So I go to sporting events, but that requires money. And I ain't got a lot of that. So
let's see. I like watching TV, you know what I'm saying? Like I like binging certain shows like when I get a hook on it, but I watch a lot of YouTube. I watch YouTube like it's TV. Right. So like I fell off. Like I used to watch a bunch of TV, like just regular TV, flipping through channels. Now I'm literally just watching YouTube. The new season of You just came out, so I'm gonna be watching that on Netflix. I love watching MCU and Marvel stuff. So I just watched the Thunderbolts.
Mm.
Great movie, 9 out of 10. Probably the best movie since Endgame.
Okay.
Also probably best movie since Shang-Chi. I love Shang-Chi a lot, but Thunderbolts had like a dramatic story to it, and I'm not gonna lie, I shed a couple of thug tears. I started crying. I started crying a little bit watching the superhero. Started watching the superhero movie. I do like going to the movie theaters with my boys to watch
Yeah.
whether it be superhero stuff or Fast and Furious or whatever. I like going to the casino, but that's usually when I'm clubbing or partying. I don't usually go to the casino like outside of clubbing partying. It's usually
Right.
like a side effect. Like so I'll go to the clubs that are in the casino and like on the way out, like or going to the bathroom, I'll stop at a table or two. Um let's see.
See, the problem with this question is it's as easy for women to come up with 5 things to do that don't involve partying. But that's literally the only like social thing that most men do, are going to the
Yeah.
bars, going to the clubs.
I play video games.
Right,
I like chilling with the boys, shooting the shit. Like
right,
literally, me and the boys, we can sit down and do like fantasy drafts of
right,
cartoon characters playing sports,
right.
and we can do that for hours
Or
and have
like
fun.
I know everyone's seen the meme where like you when the boys get together and just start naming random ass NFL players, and I could literally do me, James, and Cody would literally do that all the time growing up. Just sit there. We would go over to Cody's house, wait for like a pay per view to start, and we would just fucking name random NFL players, and
Yes,
that's entertaining to men. And then when you get to be like an adult, especially like our age, like upper 20s, like there's not much you could do in a social life that doesn't involve, alcohol or
mm.
like the club. Like
And
I
like
don't know.
I mean, like in my skinnier days, I played basketball all the time.
Right.
So currently, I'm on my weight loss journey, so I can get back on the courts and start hooping again. I be getting tired after like 2 runs up the court now.
I feel
So
that.
so I'm trying to get back in my slimmer ways so I can play basketball. That was my first love was basketball.
When I,
Um,
when I play basketball, I play like Shaq. I took like 3 steps, waited in the. I ran real slow down the court, ran right back down the court. No.
I love car rides, Kara. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean,
Long walks on the beach.
I don't like the beach, so you're on your own on that one. But
I love listening to podcasts.
yeah, you said you don't.
No, I love listening to
Oh, you do
podcasts.
love it. Yeah.
Like when I'm driving, I listen to that more than music.
See, I'm more of a music person, to be honest. I'm not a big fan. Like I know you got. I mean, I podcast myself. Occasionally, I'll listen to a podcast, but you really got to get me interested in what the fuck you talking about. And it can't be like 4 hours like Jim Cornette does, because I ain't got time for that shit.
Yeah, I
Especially when
got.
he repeats himself for like 3 hours, and so he could like trim out 3 hours of his shit, um, and have an hour long podcast and be fine. Um,
I'm behind my podcast. I'm like 15 episodes behind on the Joe Budden podcast.
no, you listen to Bud. No, I'm kidding.
I like Joe Budden.
I,
That's the boy right there.
I don't have no issue with it. I don't have no issue.
I like his crew.
Yeah. We'll move to the challenging question. We'll start with Wavy D's version of the question. You come up to a building and you hear 2 women screaming, and you see it's Io Sky
Mm.
and Nia Jax. Who are you saving? Because you can only save one.
Nia Jax is like 60% troll, Kara. Like when I was saying all this stuff about Nia Jax, she's like 60% troll. Like, do I think she's ugly? No. But like, am I trying to like really wife that or hit that? Like, no.
Right.
And it's for the trolls, Kara. See, so I'm obviously taking Io Sky. But
Okay.
now, if you did like Io Sky versus like
All right.
Asuka,
Pick 2 that'll be tough for you.
like Io Sky, Asuka, or
Okay.
like Zoe
How about
Stark.
this? Io Sky and Zoe Stark. Yeah. If it's those 2, who you picking?
between Io Sky and Zoe Stark.
Yeah.
I'm taking Io Sky.
Okay. What's the
Well,
reasoning?
You know what I'm saying? But first of all, like just like biologically, I have like a better chance of smashing
Mm-hmm.
because like Zoe Stark, I'm pretty sure like actually no, I think she has a boyfriend.
Yeah.
She does have a boyfriend slash husband. So I was about to say I'm pretty sure she's gay, but she's not. But anyways, I don't know. Io Sky's a world champion. World champion comes to perks. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be arm candy. I'm trying to be a trophy husband.
Mm.
But nah, Karen, you know what I'm saying? You gotta know Nia Jax just for the memes, bro. It's for the memes. Like you should have said like a Rhea Ripley or a Liv Morgan or something like that. Even I'm a fan of Stephanie Valkyrie too. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, give me if all my baddies were stuck in the apartment complex and I could only go to one apartment, if I can only open up one case on Deal or No Deal, whose case am I opening with the potential of saving them? I would take the Io Sky's case.
Okay. So we're gonna get to my and same question, but my two are Bianca Belair and Stephanie Valkyrie. And let me just I've drawn up a long thought out response to this. Look, I know you guys are trying to put me in some impossible situation, right? Bianca and Stephanie trapped in a burning building, but let's be honest, it's the EST and it's La Primera. My first instinct, I'm saving both of them. Some real life John Wick shit, kicking in the door, real life fireman, scooping them both up on one shoulder, like one on one shoulder, one on the other. There's no way we're letting the most beautiful and talented women in wrestling go out like that. But see, I know that response wasn't going to be acceptable for B Master who asked the question or for Kara. So if you're really going to have to make me choose, well, it's obvious. It's Stephanie Valkyrie. Look, I ain't got time to mess with Montez. So Bianca, that's a little point against you. Stephanie is single, Bianca's not. So I'm not trying to get no drama with Tez. He's got enough on his plate dealing with what he's doing. And I've always just been a fan of the big booty Latinas anyway. So it's Stephanie. And that's where we're at. Stephanie is number one on my list. So we'll go to our final question. Witters brought back the food gauntlet for the week. And it's soda this week. I don't like how he puts these in order, to be honest, but we'll do it anyway. So Coke versus Mountain Dew is the first matchup.
Oh, you skipped a couple questions.
No, it's all right. We'll get to them later. I ain't get those right now. We'll bring those up next week. But best soda gauntlet: Coke versus Mountain Dew.
Give me Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
As a fat gamer, you know what I'm saying? Give me Mountain Dew.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Coke, and Mountain Dew's not my favorite soda, quite literally. So we'll move down. Sprite versus Mountain Dew.
And I asked a clarification question.
And he did say McDonald's Sprite, right?
Yes. So give me McDonald's Sprite.
Yeah, McDonald's Sprite, because that shit crispy as fuck. McDonald's Sprite versus Dr. Pepper. Here's the problem. What type of Dr. Pepper are we getting? Because I feel like it tastes different at every restaurant you go to.
Also, I have a can tastes different out than I have a bottle.
100%. But yeah, McDonald's Sprite beats Dr. Pepper. McDonald's Sprite versus Pepsi.
Well, a can of Pepsi is pretty fire, but
yeah,
give me McDonald's Sprite.
It's a close one. I love Pepsi, but McDonald's Sprite. All right, Canada Dry Ginger Ale, which is a crazy thing to put on this list. Versus McDonald's Sprite. I think that's easy.
Is Canada Dry even the best ginger ale?
That's a great question because I like Schweppes.
Yeah, I'm a Schweppes guy. I mean, I like both, but I'm a Schweppes guy.
Yeah.
Give me McDonald's Sprite.
McDonald's Sprite versus Fanta, which is crazy because there's like 7 different flavors of Fanta. I'm
I'm
assuming he means orange.
Yeah, orange is the best flavor.
Uh,
But Fanta's not even the best kind of orange soda.
right, 100%.
It's Crush.
Crush, yeah. Even if like if we're going like grape flavor, Crush is the best grape soda there is. Pineapple, I think Crush has a pineapple. Pineapple's better.
Pineapple soda is kind of pushing
it. But yeah, it's McDonald's Sprite over Fanta.
And then Fago's trash. That's what it's fucking trash.
That's my thing. Like, sir, are you Witters? Are you hanging around some ICP juggalos? Because they're the only people I know. Or are you are you from Detroit? Because those are the only people that I know that drink Fago.
Yeah, this man on Twitter. I mean, Witters is hanging around some YNs. All right, he's hanging around with some hoodlums. Okay, hoodlums drink Fago. All right, they drink blueberry Fago because it goes good with their weed. All right,
I've had Fago. I've had Fago once in my life.
Way too sweet.
I fucking hate it.
The way they drink Fago is they put it. They get the ice, the crushed ice,
right.
And then they put their favorite candy on top, and then they pour the soda over the top of it. That's how the youngins be drinking Fago.
It's crazy. So McDonald's Sprite wins without a doubt. Now, if this was in a different order, like I feel like we started with the best at the top. Like this should have been like Fago versus Fanta to start the but with that, we're bringing back the bracket battles. So this week is the last matchups of the first round. We're starting with Battle Cry from Kenny Omega versus I Walk Alone by Batista.
I walk alone.
Yeah. That one's easy. There's going to be one vote for Omega, and I know who it's going to be.
James.
But next matchup is Radio by Zack Ryder / Matt Cardona.
Oh, Radio, tell me everything you know.
This man was killing it. Zack Ryder was massively underused. And he's going against No One Will Survive, Tommaso Ciampa's NXT theme song. Oh, that shit. All right. Next matchup is Fight for Kevin Owens.
Oh, yep.
And then What About Me, Raven.
I don't know that one.
It's a great theme song, not a great wrestler.
Is it like WCW or ECW or early WWE? Like what's
that was his WWE theme, I think. I'll play it a little bit. I don't care about it. We get constant fucking strikes no matter what. So not That's So Raven. That's a better theme song, but
yeah.
I feel like that would work well for Lyra Valkyria, but
bird bitch.
And then the last matchup of the first round is One of a Kind, RVD.
One of a kind. Yeah. One of a kind. Yeah.
Versus Let's Light It Up, AJ Lee.
Let's light it up. Da, 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 da. Light it up. Da, 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 da. I can't start boy in the roster. Da, 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 da.
So those will be up. As always, we're going to end with Wavy D's final word.
Oh, let's see. There are metal ships and there are wooden ships, and there are ships that sail the sea. But the best ships are friendships, and that's what y'all mean to me.
Ooh. Bars. And with that, we will see you on the next one. I'll be back on Friday with some more rants. We'll see what I got to rant for. There's not a lot for me to rant on. I might do some final Backlash thoughts. I've given most of my rants here, so we'll see. We'll come up with something. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, we'll see you on the next episode.
Shout Dana and Matt.
So hit that subscribe, come along for the ride. AEW, WWE, we're always on side. From fantasy booking to baddies that slay. Slapping, meet, wrestling every Tuesday.